Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second half of this episode on reaching geostationary orbit. This is my continuing tutorial campaign in Realistic Progression 0, the campaign mod for the Realism Overhaul suite of realism mods for Kerbal Space Program. Now, in the last episode, we got our geostationary satellite all ready to go. We launched a couple sounding rockets to test out the Altair kick motor, and then we hit a bug where it turned out the first stage engines on this launch vehicle were not actually gimbaling any. And that's because I'm playing with the pre-release version of the next version of Realism Overhaul, which is about to come out tonight. And it had an issue, a change was introduced that removed some necessary patching to gimbals on those engines and a few other engines. So once I figured out that's what it was, I ducked back out, I fixed that in the config files, and I've restarted. So here we are with SkyStar 2. And let's hope that this attempt is rather more successful than the last one. So we're going to go ahead and engage autopilot. And we're going to also go ahead and verify that attitude adjustment. Oh, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we're going to turn off attitude adjustment. New stock SS, go back to MechJeb's own PID. That's fine. That's fine. We're launching zero inclination. Now, there's some tricks we can do to reduce our inclination on boost, which I might try. So yeah, let's go ahead and fire up at T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Isn't that nice? We actually have control now. Correctly. We're just about to initiate our pitch program, passing through 50 meters per second. We're getting serious gravity losses from the first stage. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I had infinite propellant on because I was testing the gimbal ranges before. So much for the start of that launch. Well, we had more capacity than we needed anyway, so who cares? We will, however, be burning over the burn time of our engine. We're almost a minute in, so let us hope that those engines don't conk out partway through the burn. That would be a problem. Well. Okay, limit angle of attack has taken over, so we're pitching a little bit below the ascent target indicator. Now we're pitching a goodly bit below. We've completed our turn quite early. That confuses me. So we really got a somewhat messed up trajectory. So I'm going to take manual control for a minute. Bring our velocity vector back in line with our ascent target. This was a truly horrific ascent. But reverts are off, so I can't exactly launch it again. Alright. Now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back off again because I want control over when I shut off my engines. So we've already had one engine failure. Performance loss, that's expected. And that's because we're burning quite a bit longer than the rated burn time of these engines. Whoop, no. Okay. Okay, now we have good light on the second stage. We're going to pitch up a bit. We're going to pitch up a bit more. Yeah, see what happens when you burn your engines longer than your rated, rather longer than the rated burn time. Gravity losses are going to be depressing, but I believe we have excess capacity in this launch vehicle. Passing the Kármán line, let's ditch our fairings. That spindly little satellite. Okay, so I guess we're going to have a quite low perigee. Let's pitch up a little bit more. And we'll watch our steering losses mount. Our gravity losses are already depressing. We're gradually clawing up our apogee. I mean, we do have technically, we're only going to need about 2,500 meters per second in the third stage. That's going to leave us 1,400 meters per second to finish ascending to orbit, which we're not going to need. Even as desperate as these straights are, we're only going to need, about, say, 400 meters per second out of it. Alright, so we're going to start our pitch down now. Alright, and actually I want to push that apogee up a little bit, because that's going to be our perigee, and we want to actually have signal when we do our GTO injection burn. And given how much reserve capacity we have on that third stage, I'm okay with mounting these steering losses in a coast period, which will mount gravity losses as well. Alright, so let's try this. Okay, coming level, because our thrust weight ratio is now getting quite high. Okay, we have burnout. So we're going to disengage the autopilot. Stage. Turn on RCS so we stay aligned. And now we're going to coast a little because we have just under 3 minutes to apogee, and we want to look at those gravity losses, mount, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do meanwhile is call up MechJeb and tell MechJeb that we want to circularize at apogee. It's a 378 meter per second burn. Let's go ahead and execute that node. And we have tons of hydrazine on this stage, so we're not going to have to worry about running low on hydrazine. Now, we will probably we'll have about looks like an 18-minute coast after insertion. And I'm just dabbing the RCS so that our engine stays ullaged. There we are. Our inclination is fairly low because that ascent took a while. It's 0.2 degrees lower than it might otherwise be. Yeah, that's the kind of delta V to orbit expended I expect from like a long-burning Hydrolux upper. Like Saturn V's approach. Well, we're now in more or less a circular orbit, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to select change apogee, 35,700. Because we'll fine-tune on, well, actually, let's say 35,500, we'll fine-tune on RCS. And we change this to at the equatorial DN. Create the node, 2455 meter per second burn. So let's go hunt up that maneuver node indicator. Meanwhile, let's extend our main antennas so we will continue to have coverage. And let's see where that node actually is. That node is going to be good. We'll actually have signal from Upper Nigeria. Kano, something like that. All right, let's align, execute. Now, happily, we are getting a fair amount of, we're getting 13 watts. That's slightly better even than what was predicted from that panel. Okay, so that's good. So we're out of warp. We're going to ullage the engine again. Oh, and I was going to do a bit of a... plane change, wasn't I? Well, that's okay. It's not like we're lacking for capacity here. Passing 2,000 kilometer apogee. passing 5,000 kilometers in apogee. Our perigee is rising slowly because, of course, we're not exactly at perigee, so we're adding orbital energy, which means we'll add a little bit of that increased orbital energy to increase our perigee height. We've got about a minute and a half of burn left. Passing 8,000 kilometers apogee. Let's look at the orbit slowly extending on the far side. Away it goes. And we can see there is our target apogee all the way out there. Let me see if I can turn off some of the noise for remote tech. Yeah, I just want the... Yeah, okay, that just gives us the active vessel's comms. We don't need everybody else. Okay. And our new apogee is 35,534. That's not bad. So we're going to go ahead and fine-tune that apogee. Burning RCS some. I think actually we want to do a slight main engine burn. Oops, that's too much. So let's flip around and move that down a little bit. Now, happily flipping around will line us up for the next burn we have to make anyway. More or less lined up. Okay, let's lower this on down. $35,786. That's about right. Now, this is where it gets fun. MechJeb doesn't natively support combining those maneuvers, so here's how we're going to handle it. We apply change periapsis. At the next apoapsis, we want 35,786. Create the node. Oh. Heh. Okay. Well, we'll do it like that. Apparently I slightly overcorrected. We're 784 instead of 786. We're 2 kilometers short. Oh noes. Alright, so that's that maneuver. Now we also want to change inclination to 0. And we want to do that at the equatorial A end. So maneuver 1 and maneuver 2. So now we just have to combine these things. So we want minus 371 plus 1479. And that becomes 1108. Okay. Now, radial is next to nothing. Radial here is also next to nothing. So we'll just leave that at 0. Normal is minus 1464. And yeah. Okay, so let's update that node. And we want to kill maneuver node 2. Interesting that that delta V is higher than I expected. I wonder why that is. So this was minus 1464, 220. So let's remove all the nodes. Go back to change. No, we want to change periapsis. Okay. And we want this vector sum there. And what did I just say? 1462? I think so. Yeah. Okay, so after that maneuver... oh. No, that was 1108. Why did I put that there? Oh, because that's what we're supposed to be here. I can't even remember what I'm doing. 1108. All right. Let's update that. All right. That... No. So we're going to have to spin around again and correct that, which I just did, which is somewhat annoying to me. Doop-de-doo. Yes, and now the maneuver looks more correct, 1836 meters per second. Okay, so bingo. That looks basically correct, so now we just have to align with the maneuver node. Okay. Okay, that is almost perfect alignment with the apogee we want. So finally, we just need to spin up. Happily, we're aligned. We're even aligned with the sun. That's great. Now it gets slightly tricky because we need to go ahead and spin this stage up so the satellite stays aligned. Looks like we're not staying aligned, which is less than awesome. Let's try MechJeb's alignment instead. That's close enough. The heck is going on here? That is confusing to me. That is really quite confusing to me. I guess maybe I spun up too much, so the much lower rotational inertia. All right, let's rename that. Switch back to the other thing. Yes, that's we've spun up quite a. All right, well, you know, let's hope that things still work out okay for us. So we're going to warp to this maneuver. Now, in real life, of course, spin stabilization is at something crazy like 1800 RPM. So we usually spin up rather less than that in KSP. Where are we? We're 110 east. So we're actually on the far side of the planet from Overwatch over the Cape. So we're going to go ahead and advance this in orbit. And then, assuming our electric charge is still good, it is, we're going to just go ahead and warp to the next one. Yeah, now we're right over the Atlantic, which makes this a great comm satellite. So let's go ahead and wait until we're about 15 seconds, 18 seconds before the node, and fire up the old solid motor. And hope that we don't precess off the node too badly. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 15 seconds. Okay, so that we're somewhat far away from the node. We're burning off axis a little bit. So we're going to have to correct on RCS. Yeah, the heading is going down somewhat quickly, which is not good. Okay. And decouple. All right, now we're going to go ahead and unlock our hydrazine tanks. We have avionics control, and I really hate to do this, but I'm just going to go ahead and kill the rotation that way. In reality, oh, that's interesting. That seems odd to me. Apparently, we have quite an issue. Where we're jittering back and forth. I really don't know why that is happening. Let's see if we can if RCS has any effect whatsoever. Apparently it does not. Okay, that's an interesting bug to have encountered. So we're going to we're going to bring at least the apogee down. And let's also go ahead and activate this, set its target to Earth. All right. So we need to get the period correct. And we're going to try to kill our inclination a little bit. So we need to kill a degree of inclination. almost down to the correct orbital period. Now the irony is that in my own campaigns I have launched something similar to this, and it didn't go crazy like this. But that was in 1.0.5. That was not in 1.1, and rotation's a bit weird in 1.1. All right, so now we're 23:54. All right, so our period is now correct, but we need to kill off our... no, we can't actually. We are unable to change our attitude, but we can at least slowly lower our inclination below 3 degrees. This may take some time. Happily, we have, I think you could say, a fair amount of RCS propellant. 3.74, 3.73. We can actually burn in both those directions and go down even faster. Excellent. How are we doing on propellant load? Oh, we still have plenty of hydrazine. Halfway there. So the satellite will appear to wobble slightly in the sky if we were looking up at it, because it does have this like 3 degrees of inclination, and it's going to have a ever so slightly eccentric orbit. So it will appear to move forward and backwards, because what's actually going on with the eccentric orbit, remember that you're going slower at apogee and faster at perigee, is that the closer you get to perigee, the satellite will appear to like move forward a bit along its track. If you're looking at it from the Earth, and then as it nears apogee, it will appear to move backwards some as the Earth starts rotating faster than it is orbiting. There we are. Now, we are at under 3 degrees, and let's inch the period down. That's close enough. Now, what doesn't it like about that? Oh, 23:56, not 54. What am I doing? And we also have to raise our perigee above 35,700. So that means we've got to warp. All right, so we've got to kill some vertical speed. Let's see. RCS back to on. We're killing vertical speed. That's increasing our period, but also slowly lowering that should end up slowly lowering our eccentricity. Yep. Okay. Well, this was an interesting lesson in orbital mechanics and burning at odd angles. And there we are. Perfection. And that lets us complete the contract. Okay. So that was good. I kind of don't want to risk going back to it from the tracking station. So I think we'll just let that sit in orbit now that we've actually put it in orbit. We can at least look at it from the tracking station and look at our handiwork. So yes, there is a geostationary communication satellite. It's right over the western part of the Atlantic, which means that it will have great coverage for our launches. It means we shouldn't go out of antenna coverage during a launch. We'll probably want to put another 3 up. But the main point is that that is a nice first. And it gave us quite a chunk of change, given that we were running nearly in the red for a while. So let's go ahead and look at what else do we have. So we don't have enough reputation yet to get, I guess, well, we've got a tier 3, but it's for Deimos. Let's see if we can get one for Earth. A tundra orbit. We don't really want a tundra orbit. We want a geostationary orbit. Specific orbit of the sun, not going to happen. Molniya orbit. Deimos. Synchronous orbit of Mars. Maybe we can get a synchronous. No, we don't want an adjusted one. That's another tundra. That's Mars. So here's the orbit of the Earth. That is a remarkably high orbit and not really relevant to our existence. That's another one of those there we are, geostationary orbit of Earth. Okay, so this requires us to have a film return camera, which seems, yeah, that seems like not the best idea, given that that's cool 200 kilograms of mass. And a biological sample, which is another 15 kilograms. So yes, we're talking about quite an insertion burn. Given, however, that Able Star stage was overpowered, we might think about that. And it does have a nice reward, and we do want to add to the geostationary network. So let's look and see where that site actually is. Where might that site be? Right here. Yeah, so that's actually that's very close to where we already are. So I think we'll not bother with that. But anyway, I think that brings the second half of this very long episode to a conclusion. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope it proved helpful to you. You learned something, and I hope to see you again soon. So thanks.